Hello and welcome on into a very special edition of the Gatemen Postgame Show. Wareham, of course, victors over the Chatham Anglers at Veterans Field today, where it all started for the team. And for us here, our first ever Gatemen pregame show took place right here in our WCTV studios, so definitely full circle all the way around. Alongside me, JD Raucci and Henrique DaMour, I'm Cameron Stuart. Gatemen with their 8th Cape Cod League Championship today. Again, victors over Chatham, 9-3, and the offense certainly came out to play, and it starts and ends with playoff MVP Austin Shenton.
Kid was just unbelievable in the playoffs. As you said, got named playoff MVP after the game. How about 2 hits, a couple of RBIs, 3 RBIs between the 2 halves of the game, I guess you could say, between the beginning of the game, the first 6 innings or so, then the fog delay last night, and then another RBI single tonight when the Gatemen really need to bounce back after they gave up a run to the Chatham Anglers in the bottom half of the 6th inning in the first inning that they were playing today. So they really needed a bounce back run. Austin Shenton was there to provide it. I saw a tweet from somebody on Twitter surrounding the game that said, "This might be the easiest and most unanimous decision there has ever been for a playoff MVP in Cape Cod Baseball League history, because Austin Shenton was the best player on the Gatemen in the regular season. He was the best Gateman on the best Gateman player in the postseason, and he's the best Gateman player all around. He had an absolutely incredible season. Really, probably got snubbed for the overall MVP award as well. The kid just rakes everything you needed him to do. A triple, a double. He had home runs in the postseason, 3 of them. He just did absolutely everything. Stepped up again last night, stepped up again today. He is a humongous reason why the Gatemen are Cape Cod Baseball League champions for the first time since 2012.
Shenton, a very deserving MVP, a .522 average in the postseason with 3 home runs as well. Not like the guy gave him a run for his money, but a really great day for Drew Millas, and we've talked about it all year. The reigniting of the Gatemen offense really came with the bottom third of that order, and Drew Millas was a big reason why in the biggest game of the season for the Gatemen.
No, he really was. I mean, he had 2 doubles and a triple, pair of runs, scored an RBI as well. I mean, he started hitting the cover off the ball. Even at Spillane in Game 1, in the 5-3 win over Chatham, Millas didn't have that many hits, but he gave a couple a ride. It just felt like Drew Millas at some point was going to be rewarded for hitting the ball hard. And finally, he did. A couple of big hits. Lyle Lockhart drove him in again. A part of that resurgent bottom of the lineup, top-down production has been the key to the dominant Gatemen victories that we've come to see. That game felt a lot closer than it was, but the Gatemen won by 6. After they put up a 4 spot in the 9th inning, it felt really out of reach. Not even the vaunted Chatham offense was going to have an easy time getting to, Zach Hart, or, we saw rumblings of maybe Joey Barrett going out for a 4th time in the playoffs. It was going to be tough for them regardless. But Millas and Martellini, I think, in that 5-6, it makes the middle chunk of the Gatemen lineup so filthy. You can't pitch around anyone because the guy behind him is going to produce. Shenton, Idens, Millas, Martellini, and then Lockhart behind him when he started picking it up, batting from the bottom of the order. We saw Lockhart, JD and I talked about on the broadcast, that at one point he was the Gatemen's cleanup hitter. Even 5-hole. He was put in these power spots where he wasn't producing. Finally gets moved down to the 7. Millas and Martellini come up as the power bats. And I think that reshuffling that ended up really sticking for the last few games of the season and through the playoffs was one of the more genius moves that Don Sneddon pulled as far as retooling his offense, and sometimes that's all a guy needs. Be put in a different spot of a lineup, and he starts hitting the cover off the ball. Lyle Lockhart did that. Millas and Martellini both did that. Gian Martellini with a double today as well, but Drew Millas, I mean, hats off to the kid. He finally got consistent playing time when him and Martellini just kept on being swapped in and out in the catcher role of designated hitter. On the other side of things, with more consistent playing time, he started hitting the ball, square. It's really all parts of the ballpark. I really loved what I saw from Drew Millas yesterday, but just at the end of the season.
And the 2 offensive stars both got a chance to chat with us after the game today, including playoff MVP Austin Shenton, who talked to Henrique after the celebration.
Henrique DaMour here with postseason MVP, and really, I think, making a case for regular season MVP as well. Austin Shenton, third baseman for the Gatemen. First of all, take me through what you're feeling right now, what the guys are feeling.
It's just amazing feeling. I mean, you can't really describe it, honestly. It's just you work so hard. I mean, you grind every single day, and then to come out on top with the trophy, I mean, with all your boys, with great managers, I mean, it's just nothing but joy and happiness.
Now you get to finally go home. I know a lot of you guys starting school pretty soon here, but I think, that's kind of one of the things of the Cape League playoffs. You think, man, I don't get to go home, but you got to start the playoffs. At what point was it like, you know what, we're here, let's just win the dang thing?
I think after the regular season, that's all what we all said. I mean, especially after we won the first game against Cotuit, I think we all kind of looked at each other in the locker room and we're like, dang, let's just win this thing, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it would be nice to be home, but I mean, there's nothing better than being up with the bases loaded and 2 outs late in the game. I mean, you live for those moments. So, I mean, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else but here.
Now, you found yourself in a couple of those situations, came up with some big knocks, 12 RBIs in your 6 postseason games. Obviously, you ended the regular season on a tear, but, I mean, how do you keep that up in, especially these moments here, right, with the fog, some adversity, right, just coming up with 2 outs and everyone coming at a premium? How do you keep up that consistency at the plate?
I think my focus just intensifies a little bit as in those late game and those kind of high pressure situations, because I mean, at the end of the day, the pressure's on the pitcher. I mean, he's the one that's trying not to let anyone score. I mean, who's going to be mad at me for and with 2 outs, I mean, not getting the job done. It's kind of all falls on the pitcher. I mean, at the end of the day, just try to put a good swing on it and try to kind of refine my swing in those situations, and then just shorten up and put a good barrel on it.
You talked about it at various points, how your mental aspect of your game you think is kind of your strongest suit and what kind of anchors you down. How did you develop that focus in your game?
I mean, from an early age, I kind of started doing some hypnotherapy and kind of that stuff, just working on just always staying positive, focused, and confident in myself and my playing abilities. And so I think that really translates to being on the field, just in those moments. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a game, I mean, we're blessed and we're lucky to be able to play this game at the end of the day at this high level. And I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I have a loving family. I have great friends. I mean, it's just a game. So, if I get out, people back home aren't going to be pissed at me. So there's no pressure there.
Keeping things in perspective, but right now enjoying the title. Austin, thank you so much for everything this season. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Henrique DaMour from the Gatemen Baseball Network signing off.
Hi, Cam Stewart here with Gatemen catcher and designated hitter Drew Millas. Drew, big day for you. Over 2 days, actually, but 3 extra base hits, couple RBI, including your first triple of the season.
Yeah.
Coming up, some great arms for Chatham. What was working for you today?
Last night and today, I think just staying calm and staying within myself at the plate. I wasn't trying to do too much, trying to get a good pitch to hit, or good pitches to hit all night and day, I should say. But yeah, I mean, it worked out well. I got a few pitches I could hit and did the thing with them.
And now, talking about the game last night being fogged out at the end, you guys thought you had a chance to clinch it all here last night. Just tell me about the mood around the clubhouse with these guys. Were you guys angry? Did you want to get back out here today? Were you itching to get back out here?
I think angry isn't quite the word, but upset maybe. I don't know. It was just kind of like a fog, really. Like, it was just one of those things. But I mean, from the start, we knew we were going to win this thing. Like, we have that much confidence in ourselves and within a group of guys, and we just came out there today with that same confidence.
And that's kind of a microcosm of the season for you guys. A lot of ups and downs with a lot of big-time names leaving. But you just said you guys felt you were going to win it the whole way through. Was there ever any point where you said, "Oh man, maybe I get home a little early this summer"?
No. There was never really one point where that happened. We did win, I think, was it 10 of our last 11 or something like that. But I mean, we were just riding the momentum we had from game to game, and did that at the end here.
Yeah, you guys actually didn't have more than a 4-game winning streak all year. The only 4-game winning streak was the first 4 of the season. You finished it off with 6 in a row in the postseason. Mm-hmm. What was clicking for you guys in this run?
I mean, both our offense and defense, all aspects of the game. Like Don always preaches, fielding, pitching, hitting. I mean, throughout each of those 6 games, obviously the playoffs is the biggest time to do it, and we came out and did it. So.
Drew Millas, a big part of the Gatemen sweep here in the CCBL finals, now a CCBL champion. Drew, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome back into the Gatemen Postgame Show. Big thank you to Drew and Austin for taking some time post-game pre-celebration to catch up with us. And normally we on the Gatemen Postgame Show, we talk about pitching and offense. And, unless something really big happens positively or negatively on the defensive front, rarely do we dedicate an entire segment to it. But I think defense played a gigantic role in this game. Starting on the Chatham side of things, Greg Jones and Michael Bush, middle infield for Chatham. You wouldn't go so far as to say they cost them this series, but they certainly made things way more difficult for Chatham.
Yeah, I think you said it was a big factor in the series. I think it might have been the difference. And we saw a close game in Game 1. Obviously, the Gatemen pull away in Game 2 here and win it by 6 runs. But the defense was a huge issue, especially for the guy you talked about, Greg Jones. 3 errors in 2 games. It leads to a couple unearned runs, leads to the first 3 unearned runs of this game off Alek Manoah in Game 2 in a play where he definitely could have gotten out at first, maybe even out at second with first and second and nobody out, and instead he tries to go to third and no one's out. Everyone's safe on the base paths, and it turns into 3 Gatemen runs on an Austin Shenton single. Again, 3 errors in the series for him, another one for Michael Bush, and it was just very lackadaisical for the Anglers, and you knew defense wasn't exactly their game. They had such a great offense. Everyone in Chatham talking about that's not a John Schiffner team because that would be a stout defensive team, and it clearly is a changing of the guard. But the offense is what carried them there, and it looked like it was the defense that doomed them in the end.
And to your point, I mean, the Gatemen got a few easy runs off that, but they themselves saved by some nifty defensive work. Especially, we love to talk about Lyle Lockhart. I mean, he did more than just drop into the splits for the Gatemen. I mean, he was awesome.
He was absolutely fantastic. He won game one on a diving stop on a Colin Simpson grounder that was destined for extra bases if it had gotten by him. An absolutely fantastic stab. He tagged the base with the glove. One of the most exciting and incredible moments of this season because you just saw him. He laid out full extension. He knew he gave everything. He just had a smile on his face. He just went over, tapped the bag with the glove, gave the Gatemen a 1-0 lead in the series. Then how about Isaac Collins? Can't say enough about him. Converted infielder. This kid is a second baseman, shortstop maybe, never an outfielder, did we think? We're not looking at the preseason roster or even the roster as the season starts and looking at Isaac Collins and be like, yeah, that's going to be the everyday right fielder. Yeah, he's going to make a ton of impressive plays. Kid robs a home run, would-be go-ahead homer in the bottom of the third inning for the Gatemen. They're up 2-1. Tristan English is at the plate. English already had a home run in game one, a pinch hit homer in the ninth. Comes in, sends another one out to deep right field. So not all that deep there at Veterans Field, only 314 to right field. And Isaac Collins said, not having any of this. Talked to him last night. He said, I thought I was going to catch it the entire way. He knew he had a beat on it the entire way. It was just going to be a matter of whether or not he was going to be able to get to it over the wall. Leapt up, made an incredible catch, reached over, yanked it back in. Absolutely incredible play. And we talked to him after that, after he saw a picture of it for the first time. And he's like, I did not realize I jumped that high. I mean, the guy's just a flat-out athlete. First guy since Joe Mauer to be nominated for Mr. Minnesota in both football and baseball. Incredible athlete, made an incredible play. And really just in general, the defense for the Gatemen was good in this series and throughout the playoffs. You think back to Oliver Dunn in the first half of Game 2 yesterday. Made a diving stop and eliminated Greg Jones to a fielder's choice rather than the single up the middle that really could have let that first inning get out of hand for Derek West. Then you think about guys like Ryan Kryler, stud all season. Jacob Goldfarb saves pretty much saves a run in the first game with a diving catch in left field because if he had let that blooper fall, then Spencer Torkelson would have had a runner on, and then he launched the home run. Would have been a 2-run bomb and a much tighter game. A little bit more momentum goes the Chatham Anglers' way. We could have seen a totally different ball game. Defense played a huge part in this season. The best defensive team in the league all season long for the Gatemen. They stepped up. They showed it again. They're actually one of the worst defensive teams in the postseason. But we were talking to Chatham broadcaster Josh Schaefer after the game yesterday, after the first part of the game. And he said, I have no idea how this team could possibly be near the bottom of the league in a defensive statistic because this is one of the best defensive teams I've ever seen. Those words coming from somebody from the other team and from the other organization just speak volumes about how good of a team defensively this Gatemen squad is.
They were great all year, and they were good enough in the postseason. It was highlighted by an absolutely electric catch by Isaac Collins. 5'8", robbing home runs. The Creighton Blue Jay, he was the talk of the town, I mean, all across Cape Cod. And Don Sneddon certainly had high praise for him and the rest of the team as he got to talk to J.D. Raucci post-game.
Here with head coach Don Sneddon, second season as the head coach of the Wareham Gatemen and a championship. What's the feeling like after winning a title and sweeping the playoffs, going undefeated?
Yeah, doing that is just very special. I didn't think, we had a special group, and I thought we were a good club and we could battle with anybody. But to go through this with 6, it looks a lot easier on paper. It was much harder than that. I mean, it took a 10-run ninth inning to get that, keep that from happening, and a big inning today on that. So it's a very special group.
Zach Hart starts the game today for you guys. You were originally going to go with Carter Bach before the fog delay yesterday. What was the move? Why go with Zach in this situation?
Well, I wish I could give you a real great feeling telling you why, but, it's just a gut feeling the managers have, and, we decided just to go for it. We wanted in there right here. We didn't want to have to play tonight, and he was the best we had in the pen. He's a competitor. I knew he'd go out and throw strikes, which is exactly what he did. He gave up a couple runs, but luckily we got some more runs to take that pressure off of him and then strike out with the best hitter, one of the best hitters in the Cape. I thought was just really neat for him, something he'll remember for the rest of his life.
And you mentioned he faced a little bit of adversity at the beginning, gave up a run in each of his first 2 innings. Yeah. What does it say about him as a competitor that he's able to kind of break through that and really go ahead and get the win for this team?
Just can't say enough about that. I mean, here's a guy that's, quote, a Division II pitcher. that's coming up here and showing he's a Division I pitcher, a pro prospect, and everything else. I mean, he's just I'd take him easily, on any pitching staff I had with that, just the way he stuck in there. And what a great story. He's a 10th player. I mean, he lasts the whole season with us and ends up getting the final out in the Cape Cod Championship.
Zach Hart, the save tonight for the Gatemen. But how about the offensive side of things? Drew Millas, 3 extra base hits between last night and today. How about a guy like that stepping up for you?
Wow. I mean, he was a great hitter and still is a great hitter. And struggled a little bit with us on that and just kept working at it, and just was really excited for him to be that. And that was the great thing. It went up and down the lineup. I mean, you have guys like Shenton that carried us and Idens and that stuff, but you got to look at the bottom of that lineup too, those guys with that came in for us.
Bats and pitching certainly important, but how about last night? Isaac Collins on a possible go-ahead 2-run home run from Tristan English, yanks it back over the fence. Yeah. What's the reaction like in the dugout, and how big is that for you guys?
Well, I had absolutely no reaction because I didn't see it. So I just know from the reaction of our bullpen that he caught that ball. I thought it was out. And that's the way this game goes. He didn't do it with a bat, which he's done all summer for us, but yet he comes up and saves 2 runs with a great catch like that from an infielder that's played a phenomenal outfield. That speaks a lot for a guy like that embraced that position and worked at it to become a better player.
Gatemen are champions in the CCBL. What are your final thoughts on this team? What can you say about your first ever championship on the Cape?
Well, it's a lifetime of memories, and I told these guys it'll just get better. The people that's in this circle right here will be your friends the rest of your life, and the championship gets better as you get older. I've had a few of those, and I appreciate it more and more because they're so hard to get. I mean, there's a lot of guys on that team right there. I said that you won't have a championship, but you got one now.
Don Sneddon leads the Gatemen to their first title since 2012 in just his second year at the helm. An absolutely fantastic season, Coach. Thanks so much for being along with the ride for us.
Thank you guys for covering us.
Thank you to Coach Sneddon, as always, and we want to say a special thank you to him for everything he's done for us this year, giving us all kinds of access to the team, all kinds of access to his wisdom. Only his second season as a head coach in the CCBL, wins the title and leads Wareham to a championship for the first time since 2012. Absolutely magnificent. One thing that we talked about in that interview was Zach Hart and the Gatemen pitching staff in this game. We originally were going to see Carter Bach out of the bullpen the first time yesterday. He had come onto the field, was ready to go, was going to pitch, kind of create that lefty-lefty matchup that pitchers love to see when they're facing left-handed batters. But today, they go with Zach Hart. They trusted him a lot, and it says a lot about this team that they were able to trust Zach Hart coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah, Hart was absolutely awesome. We saw him develop into a little bit more of a starter role as starters kept falling off the map for Wareham. And I think the one that kind of was the final drop in the bucket was the departure of Will Proctor as the 4 guy, then the 3 guy, then the 2 guy. We lost Connor Lund in the beginning of the season. Joey Matulovic obviously got signed by the Brewers organization, but the starters kept dropping left and right. So there's a lot of guys that in college were starters, but on the Gatemen staff, because of the plethora of fantastic starters, got pushed into bullpen roles and then had to be revived out of that. Zach Hart is a fantastic example of that. He came on in relief of Derek West, who pitched the first half of Game 1 last night, and then Zach Hart today. A fantastic 4 strikeout performance, gave up 2 earned runs, and those came early via a lot of hard hit balls. I was concerned initially about Hart's outings, a lot of hard hit balls and a home run as well, but he settled in really nicely. And like you said, Cam, he said on Twitter, the CCBL Finals ended with Division II Franklin Pierce's Zach Hart striking out the D1 leader in home runs in Spencer Torkelson. Zach Hart came to play, and I forget who it was talking to us behind it, or behind you and I on the call, and they said these D2 guys playing out here, sometimes they just want it more. Right, they're playing with a little less to lose. They're out here to prove themselves, right? Whereas Torkelson, that's kind of what's expected of him, right? Is to hit 25 bombs. It hit 7 more in the regular season, and 3 more in the postseason. 1 against Wareham in Game 1. So Zach Hart and Derek West both did really, really well with a very loaded top-to-bottom lineup for Chatham. The walks were a little high, but the strikeouts were higher, and just 3 earned runs led up by West and then Hart. We didn't see Carter Bach. We thought I might have seen him pre-fog. I thought we might have seen Joey Barron, maybe Ryan Stoudemire, but it just ended up being 2 guys who are used to going those 4 or 5 inning chunks. 2 starting roles really woven back to back. Worked beautifully for Wareham.
We talked to bullpen catcher Andrew Sarazin after the game. He said in that 9th inning, 4 different guys started to get warm. Ryan Stoudemire, Joey Barron, all started to get going, but Zach Hart able to finish it out. And we kind of talked about how good the Gatemen pitching staff was, but we would be remiss if we didn't mention just how fantastic the Chatham pitching staff was in the two games. We talked about the defense, how the defense kind of let the pitching staff down, but a combination of Austin Bergner in Game 1, Alec Manoah in Game 2, and then Kyle Hurt in this kind of semi-start today was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Bergner in Game 1, good as advertised, that really hard fastball, had the Gatemen completely off balance. They kind of had to manufacture runs. Obviously, Austin Shenton comes through with the big hit, but they were drawing walks. They had a hit batsman. They were reaching on errors. So they were just finding ways to get on base, and they really don't have to deal with that too much because their offense is so good, and they don't face a pitcher with the caliber of Bergner, but they do end up getting to him with the 3 unearned runs, and that's all they needed in that one. Alec Manoah as well. He's the usual ace for the Anglers, and he was as good as advertised as well. Big boy, 6'7", over 200 pounds, and he comes in throwing hard, ends up getting 9 strikeouts to the Gatemen. There was a lot of guys who just couldn't catch up to that fastball, much like Bergner the day before. But again, is the unearned stuff. He gives up 2 earned, but 2 more unearned. The same thing for Kyle Hurt, who only gives up 1 earned run, 4 in total. So it was the defense. I mean, they just completely let them down for the Anglers. And we saw with the fog coming in, Alec Manoah was pleading with the umpires. He wanted to keep going. He knew he was strong. He knew the Anglers were going to have the upper hand with that fog in the outfield and them coming up, trying to come from behind in the game. So they had a lot of confidence in themselves, and it really showed on the mound. They were both pretty electric. Kyle Hurt wasn't too bad either, but again, defense just completely let them down.
You talked about how Alec Manoah wanted to pitch last night. He wanted to pitch today. Came out to the ballpark today at Veterans Field and said, "Hey, coach, I'm ready to go." Told Tom Holliday, "Let's pitch. I want to go right now." Never got removed. Could have been eligible to pitch today, but Tom Holliday making the smart decision, saving his arm. He's still got a long career ahead of him. Talked to a couple of Gatemen after the game yesterday and said that Manoah's stuff is just absolutely nasty. Tight slider, wipeout changeup, just filthy stuff from Manoah. But the star pitcher of the day, Zach Hart, strikes out Spencer Torkelson to end the game, and for one last time, our Mariota's got a chance to talk with him after today's 9-3 win over the Chatham Anglers.
2018 Cape League champion. Zach, tell me how it feels.
Feels amazing, man. These guys are awesome. I love each and every one of these guys. It feels so good to be in this position I am right now. It's awesome.
You got the save. You struck out a D1 hitter, one of the best in the league. Take me through the at-bat.
I probably wasn't going to give him a fastball because I know he hunts fastballs and he crushes them. So I was just working that slider. He already swung and missed that one. So when I was up 2 strikes, I threw him another one and he just bit on it, man. It's unreal.
How have you guys continued to stay motivated this entire season?
I think we just like playing with each other. I think the team chemistry is, outrageous. So these guys just love playing with each other. I love playing with them. I love pitching with these guys behind me. So I think that's, we just help motivate each other and just kept kept on winning and, just played well through the entire thing, man. It's awesome.
You guys talk about motivating each other, kind of feeding off each other. Mm-hmm. In the 9th, 4 big runs scored. How do you feed off that momentum?
It's awesome. Like when you're up only like 2 runs going into the 9th, and we just love to come alive in the 9th inning for some reason. It's just our inning. So, going back out there up 9-3 in the top of the 9th, it just takes all that pressure off me, and it's so much easier pitching with that multi-run lead, getting more in the 9th and whatnot. So it's just awesome. Zach,
any last thoughts about this season?
It was a great season, man. These guys meshed pretty quickly, and there's no words that can describe it, man. It's awesome. It's a great feeling. I wouldn't want to win it with anyone else. So love these guys, love this team, love the coaches. It's just a great year, great summer.
Zach, thanks so much and great summer.
Thank you.
A special thank you to Mary and to Zach Hart. About to wrap things up here on the Gatemen Postgame Show one last time. So, of course, a lot of thank yous and memories need to be sent out right now. Henrique, start us off.
I think the first thing for me is thank you. One, to Tom Gay and Andy Lang for giving me the opportunity to stick my face in front of a camera, my voice behind a microphone, putting up with us all year. We loved, I know I speak for all of us when we say we love the opportunity. I'm very grateful to have called 44 games for, 50 games actually for, the best college players in the country, and just the staff, the players were all immense. I think there wasn't one player I had a negative interaction with, and I think just even talking to guys in the past, they say every year there's one or two sticks in the mud. There were none on this team, and I think it was a ton of fun to just be a part of the team as much as they let us, and they were very welcoming. Even getting to live with Isaac Collins this year as part of the host family program. I mean, he's a stand-up guy. I want to thank Mike and Mary, our host parents. I want to thank my parents and my girlfriend for being incredible supports through all of it, watching all my games, listening to all my stuff, giving me feedback. My friends at WNUR for making me a semi-competent broadcaster, and just somehow allowing me to build my rep up to get this job. It's been a phenomenal summer. I'm very grateful to the Gatemen and everyone involved, and to you two for being phenomenal broadcast partners, phenomenal friends through everything. I learned a lot from both these guys. I wish them all the best going forward.
JD?
I'm just going to reiterate a lot of the stuff that Henrique said. Definitely thank you to Andy Lang and to Tom Gay for taking a shot on a kid from a small little town in Massachusetts and giving me this opportunity. One of the best summers I've ever had, probably the best summer I've ever had. I said a lot of this on the at the end of the game, so I'm going to keep it relatively short, but absolutely thank you to Mike and Mary Chaplin. Fantastic host family, fantastic host parents. Would not have been able to get through the summer without them. They get Henrique, Cam, of course, our producer right now behind the camera, Trevor Russo. Absolutely fantastic support system. Thank you to Dan Longton, our videographer, our sideline reporter, Mary Orders, everybody in this Gatemen broadcast team. Also, not a broadcaster per se at the beginning of the summer, but turned into one. Ian Viscera, our beat writer. Endless laughs, endless memories, endless smiles that I can't thank everybody enough for. And then one final shout out. I want to give a shout out to Connor Federico, 2017 Gatemen broadcaster, one of my dear friends at school at Syracuse. Thanks so much for telling me about this team and how special of an organization it was. Wouldn't have been able to get here without you, buddy, and I really just want to thank you so much for all the constant support throughout the summer, all the feedback, all of everything. You were one of the big reasons I got this job, one of the big reasons that I was able to kind of showcase my talents and put them in front of Andy Lang and Tom Gay. So I want to give a big shout out to Connor Federico. Obviously, my parents, my sister, I want to thank them as well for supporting me throughout the summer and let me chase this crazy little dream that I have of talking about sports on a microphone for a career. So I just want to thank everybody one last time for all the support, all the love, all the wishes of happiness and success. And I want to wish you guys the same moving forward.
And as for me, of course, it's all basically thanking the same people. We work with the same people, right? We have a tremendous broadcast team here with the Wareham Gatemen and the Gatemen Baseball Network. Andy Lang, of course, the head of it, and he has been so gracious to us, and I want to thank him as well for taking the chance. He had said, but after the season last year, he wanted to make this the ESPN of the Cape again, and with the hard work of these guys next to me and Trevor behind the camera here and all of us on the broadcast team, including Ian, including Dan, including Mary, I think we have done that. We've had a tremendous summer, obviously one of the best summers of my life as well, and it's just a crazy job and a crazy grind, but I've loved every single second of it. It's kind of weird explaining to people we're going to the ballpark every single day, and all the work we have to do behind the scenes. I'm not complaining about it, but it really is a lot for all of us to do, but it's a labor of love, and especially for this organization. Wareham gets a lot of flack everywhere around the league, but this is a top-class organization. I've said it before, and I've said it again. I'll say it again. From the top to the bottom, just tremendous people that run this team, and really can't say an ill word about any of them. So I want to thank everyone with the Gatemen, 2018 Cape League champs. I know they did it for them, so that's definitely a special way to go out. And to you two guys, making it fun to come to work every day. We're calling a game. It can get boring, but we always kind of keep each other light and keep everything good. So can't thank these guys enough. And to everyone, again, the Gatemen organization, the Gatemen Baseball Network at WCTV for helping us out as well, always giving us a pad if we need it, and all the equipment and all the guys that work there for the WCTV broadcast of games. So thank you to everyone with the Gatemen, all you great fans of Wareham. No better way for us to go out. One last time, JD Raucci, Henrique DaMour. I'm Cameron Stuart. Thanks again, Wareham.